So I always used to think of myself as a creative person. I've been a musician my whole life. I started playing the violin when I was 5, and if you ever wanted to see what a world-class violinist looks like, I've included a picture here. But beyond violin, I've always been involved in artistic side projects. So in college, alongside the standard bio major that so many of us pre-meds did, I also majored in English with a focus on creative writing. And heck, I even launched my own YouTube channel. This is a screenshot of an early video. So all of this is to say that I used to be pretty confident that I was fairly high on the creative spectrum, maybe even a bit overconfident. And last year was when all of this came to a head. So to set the stage, I found myself participating in a creative problem-solving challenge. Now, I was taking some business classes as part of my 2 research years in surgery residency, and as an icebreaker on the first night of class, they split us into groups and put our creativity to the test. So here are the ground rules. And these might be looking familiar to those of you who've participated in group retreats, leadership summits, or team building exercises, but for everyone else, here's how it worked. So the goal was to build a structure made out of only what you see here: some spaghetti, some string, and a piece of tape. And the structure that you built had to hold up a marshmallow. So the team with the highest standing marshmallow would be the winning team. So here's an example of what a winning structure might have looked like. No problem, I thought. We've totally got this. In fact, I was even feeling kind of smug. But it turned out we didn't have it. And in fact, our tower didn't even stand long enough to capture a picture with the marshmallow up. But that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is that this exercise has been done literally all over the world. And what people have found time and time again is that children outperform adults every single time. And we're talking high-performing CEO-level adults. So the question is, why should you care? And why am I even talking about this at an event centered around innovation in medicine? Here's why. I want to start today by taking a deeper look at innovation in medicine using an example that I love. And to do this, I'm going to share the story of a man named Wilson Greatbatch. Now, Greatbatch was born in 1919, almost 100 years ago. This was a time before cell phones and computers, before GPS and self-driving cars. In fact, many homes in the US didn't even have electricity. But from the very beginning, it was clear that Greatbatch had scientific instincts. As a child, he was already known as a tinkerer, and by the time he was a teenager, he built his own receiver so that he could listen to radio all the way from London, using a coil that he had wound himself. So, at the end of World War II, when he returned from being a fighter pilot, Greatbatch took advantage of our government's GI Bill and went to school for engineering. And one day, as a young engineer, Greatbatch was building a piece of equipment called an oscilloscope. This is basically a machine that allowed us to look at the heart's rhythm. And as he reached into this box to grab the final piece for the circuit, Greatbatch made a mistake that would change the course of modern medicine. You see, he added the wrong resistor to the circuit. So that meant instead of seeing a continuous line of energy, he saw a blip of energy followed by silence, followed by another blip, and silence, and blip, and silence. And hopefully this is a pattern that some of you in this room recognize. And it's important to realize that even though we reminisce and look on our lives in reverse, they don't feel like movies when we're living them. So in that moment, there was no theme music playing, the camera didn't zoom in. It was just an engineer sitting there alone with a piece of broken equipment. And I mention this because many of us wouldn't even realize the magnitude of what was sitting in front of us. It was a nuisance, it was a mistake, it was a problem that needed to be fixed. But Greatbatch wasn't most people, and he didn't look at it this way. And as he sat looking at his piece of broken equipment, Wilson Greatbatch thought of his own heart. And in that moment, what we now know as the modern pacemaker was born. Now, I love this story for so many reasons. For one, it really shows you that great breakthroughs can happen anywhere. I love the idea that discoveries are kind of just swimming all around us, just waiting to be noticed. But one of my favorite takeaways from this example is that breakthroughs and discoveries require this kind of creative thinking. They require you to keep your mind open and ready for the unexpected. And even though this happened over 50 years ago, innovation medicine is still alive and well today. So, about a year ago, I decided that I wanted to start learning more about innovation and what was kind of cutting edge and going on and what was happening with early stage startups making an impact on people. But I couldn't find the kind of resource that I wanted, so I decided to build it myself. I named it Invented Magazine. I launched a Kickstarter last winter, finished building the app over the summer, and launched a few months ago. And I'm happy to say that Apple even named us #1 in what's hot in our section, in our category of the App Store. And along the way, as founder of Invented Magazine, I've had this incredible opportunity to enjoy a front row seat to innovation in medicine. Getting to know people who have developed things like 3D printed hands and artificial intelligence and even bras that help protect women against breast cancer. And along the way, I have started to notice a single common thread that connects all of these people and their stories. And that thread can be summarized in one single word: creativity. Creativity is truly what connects every innovation. It's behind the problems that we choose to tackle. It's the way we approach a situation. It's how we connect the dots in unexpected lines. But creativity in medicine is more than just developing billion-dollar devices or Nobel Prize-level therapeutics. Creativity is the unsung hero of medicine and how we practice on a daily basis. Creativity is present when we negotiate with patients to agree to a treatment plan that we know they can stick with, instead of insisting on a regimen that they haven't been able to maintain in the past. Creativity is present in the operating room when we encounter unexpected injuries and we have to work quickly to get that patient off the table and back into an ICU. And creativity is even present during a busy afternoon of clinic where we have to juggle patients and rooms to see everyone as efficiently as possible without sacrificing quality. In short, creativity is the very heartbeat of medicine. It's what allows us to be effective on a daily basis and what we use to catapult the field forward. But as important as it is, we could be doing so much better, and we need to be doing better. And so, for the rest of my time today, I'm going to share a brief how-to and some of the ways that we can all be more creative, both as individuals and across the field of medicine as a whole. And to do this, I'm going to share 3 simple steps. So, here goes. Lesson number 1, it takes hard work. Remember that story about the failed marshmallow spaghetti tower? Well, one of the reasons that children are able to perform so much better at this than adults is that they spend their entire waking lives being creative. And for many of us grown-ups, we only tap into our creativity once in a while. But the truth is this, thinking creatively is like using a muscle. And if we want those skills to be ready for us on demand when we need them, we have to practice. Now, fortunately, there's no one best way to practice, and it shouldn't feel like work. In fact, the more fun, the better. Maybe for you, this means playing a musical instrument, or sketching, or reading a book, or even daydreaming. But unless we make the conscious effort to tap into our creativity on a regular basis, we can't expect these skills to be there for us exactly when we need them. Lesson number 2, be open-minded. Tapping into your creativity is about being ready for the unexpected and having an open mind to recognize it when it's in front of you. Being open-minded is what allowed Wilson Greatbatch to look at a broken machine and see a pacemaker. Being open-minded means that when we see lab values that don't seem to make sense, we take another look. And being open-minded means that when our patients tell us what they think is going on because of an article that they read on the internet, that we don't shut our brains off and we hear what they have to say. And let's be honest, being open-minded is something that we as a field can do better. And we can start by taking input from people at all levels in our medical hierarchy. And finally, lesson number 3, make it official. If we really want to unlock all the incredible potential of creativity, we need to make sure that hospitals are nurturing this within their very fibers. Already, we're starting to see some healthcare systems implementing things like in-house incubators or accelerators or other infrastructure to help support early-stage startups. It's an important step and something that we need more hospitals to start doing. But even more fundamentally, we have to start encouraging creativity earlier within medical school. And this means providing the time and the space for our medical students to continue the creative passions that so many of us left behind when we stepped into the world of medicine. So, there you have it. Follow these 3 steps and you'll be on your way to being more creative in no time. And the better we learn to nurture our own creativity, the better prepared we'll be to recognize the next great discovery when it's sitting right in front of us. Thank you.